Welcome. My name is Per Schoffers and I'm the founder and CEO of Atenga. I'm going to talk about price optimization. With optimized prices and the processes necessary for price optimization, companies can fight commoditization, downward pricing pressure, and increase both sales and profits. This presentation summarizes what we learned from making several hundred price optimization projects in all different industries. And I will use a number of case studies in this presentation. And while it's possible they will be from your particular industry, it is unlikely. So please use this information instead as an inspiration. Think, how could this apply to me, to my company, to my circumstance? What can I learn from this case study? In the first two parts, I spoke about the reason for commoditization and the loss of pricing power. And in the third part, about how a deep dive into the value perceptions and decision landscape of the marketplace provide the information companies need to remedy commoditization and regain pricing power. In the fourth part, I talked about the psychology of pricing. And in this part, I'm going to talk about how you find out about your customers and your prospects' willingness to pay, willingness to buy, and so forth, decision landscape. The answer is price-specific market research. And I'm not talking about flimsy, 6-question, high-level market research projects. I'm talking about research that is very detailed, very rigid, and very precise. And in addition to the details of the research, there are a few more very important rules for such research. The research needs to reach out to the entire marketplace. That of course includes customers, it includes prospects, and it needs to include what we call strangers. Individuals who the company doesn't communicate with, and may in fact not even know that the company exists. It is often from these strangers you get the best information. And I'm going to illustrate this by talking about a contract manufacturing organization, CMO for short. The company came to us with a pricing problem, but what we found was something much more important. A CMO makes small quantities of drugs used in clinical trials. It's obviously a rather small market. There's only a few thousand potential customers in the US. And these customers are the biotech companies who develop new drugs. And these drugs are made in batches. A batch can be large or it could be small. And the company here, the CMO, had a very particular opinion about the optimal size of manufacturing batches. They said that the market mostly consisted of customers wanting to buy drugs in batches of 500 to 2,000 liters, and that everything else was peanuts. This was, as you can see from the chart here, a tremendous mistake. Research discovered a wide array of batch sizes was sold and purchased. The company had in fact made their whole business serving only about a quarter of the marketplace, foregoing the other 3/4. But how could this possibly happen? Well, the answer is as simple as it is common. Whenever we go to market, the message your company has will be accepted by a portion of the market. These are the individuals who become your prospects and your customers. This particular company, the CMO, had only messages around the benefits of 2,000 liter batches. And since they spoke a lot with their customers and they asked what the customers like, the customers said they like 2,000 liter batteries. They mirrored back to the company what the company told them. They were self-selected. They did not represent the whole market. Only the portion of the market who accepted the company's marketing message. And in fact, as we wrapped up the meeting, the CEO told the manufacturing VP that by next Monday morning, he wanted a detailed action plan for how to deliver other batch sizes. And this, of course, was a late Friday afternoon. And research needs to be anonymous. If the research subject understands who the research is for, just like I mentioned in earlier parts of this series, they will tell stories and they would withhold information to get a better deal next time they buy from the same vendor. But how can you safeguard anonymity and still get the details you need? Well, you do this by abstracting the product or service into attributes. This means that products or service description need to be less about the product and service themselves and more about what they deliver to the customer. It's more involved than just not mentioning the brand. So take, for example, if you go to the car industry. If you ask questions about a German-built car that in marketing claimed to be fun to drive, many of the respondents will identify the brand as BMW, and anonymity is lost. But if you split this into asking what customers are willing to pay and willing to buy, depending on the size of car, the engine size, the type of engine, country of origin, etc., etc., you can maintain anonymity and you still get the information you need. I want to continue with another short example. I don't know if you know what Spotify is, but if you don't, probably your kids do. Spotify say they're going to bring you all the music all the time. They have some 22 million songs in their archive, maybe more now. They have about 12 million subscribers. And Spotify is available for free on your computer or smartphone, or you can pay premium, what they call, without advertising for $10 a month. If they are successful, they will replace iTunes as the most successful platform for consuming music. I'm a premium member. I pay the $10 a month. And a couple of months ago, they sent me this invitation to take a survey. The survey was very long and very detailed, and it was very much focused on various options and various features that they could develop in the future, and also how I consume music on different devices. And because of it wasn't anonymous, I now know their future product plans. And that's me in the picture. It's probably not something they wanted to give away to a large swath of population, some which inevitably would be their competition. So if attributes are a function of your offering, factors are circumstances in the life of the marketplace that creates a willingness to solve the problem that your company solves. Many times this means that the customer's current solution is obsolete or broken. For example, you're unlikely to buy new tires to your car unless the old ones are worn out or damaged. Or companies don't upgrade their IT infrastructure unless the current infrastructure is a bottleneck. Or it may be that the new VP wants a new CRM system. Or it may be mandates. Think about all the additional consulting services that were bought and sold as a result of the SOC circulation a few years ago. Now, this is important to know these factors because it allows your companies to drive marketing and to connect with your customers when their needs are highest and when their willingness to buy and when their willingness to pay are highest. And attributes also drive satisfaction and dissatisfaction. These are important because, of course, no surprise, a completely happy customer is likely to buy again, and not only that, a happy customer is also likely to pay a higher price. In fact, we have found that completely satisfied customers are willing to pay 15 to 20% higher prices when they purchase from the same vendor again, compared to moderately satisfied customers. But there's another twist here. If you know what dissatisfied your competitors' customers, you can leverage that into specific programs to capture these customers and increase your market share. And salespeople often fail to understand who makes the real decision. Think about this in the context of you being a man and the breadwinner in the family, and you're buying a house. Why does the realtor speak almost exclusively to your wife? In business-to-business sales, this of course gets a little bit more complex. And companies, when they talk to salespeople, often want to hide the true decision process. And the kind of third-party research, anonymous research I'm talking about here, can often get a much better understanding of the true decision landscape. I want to use a case study to illustrate this, both decision drivers and decision landscape. This company is selling training software, and they had been around for about 20 years doing so. And any company, including this one, develops sort of a gut feel about the market. This gut feel, corporate gut feel, is not totally wrong, but it rarely totally right either. Now, the company decided to find out how right was it, and what surprises would they find. They were surprised. They were completely surprised to find that research discovered there were 4 distinct behavioral segments in the market. There was a price segment that was the largest segment that was very price sensitive. It was a customizer segment, about a quarter of the market, that was very keen on customization of the product. There was a brand segment, also with a quarter of the market, and a service segment, the smallest market share. So these 4 segments had different priority of the decision drivers. They had different product needs, different price elasticity, and different willingness to pay. In this rainbow chart, in each column, we can see these priorities based on segments. The price segment, as I mentioned, has product cost as the main decision driver, but don't care much about customization. The customizer segment obviously care a lot about customization, but doesn't care much for brand. And the service and the brand segments have their unique profile too. This segmentation information created the opportunity for the company to provide the marketplace with different versions of the product at different prices and with different value messages. And they could therefore reach a much larger portion of the available market. And as we should see, sales increased substantially. And when you have demand curves, as we have discussed, it becomes easy to set prices. I'm showing 2 of the segments here. The price segment and the customizer segment. The demand curve for the price segment is the red curve, and it peaks at $200. Okay. The green customer curve is flat between $250 and $500. And consequently, demand optimized prices for the 2 products are $199 and $499 respectively. And here's the resulting price list for all the 4 products that came from the 4 customer segments. Different prices for different segments and different products and service bundles. Now, the restriction column is just, if not more, important than the unique benefit column. Restrictions has to be something the buyers in the target segment do not care about. If the restriction is something the segment do care about, you'll just end up alienating your customers. They will feel nickel and dime, but these restrictions will still help to guide individuals to the appropriate segment. The company also wanted to know where to direct the sales force, And in this industry, there's a number of educational consultants. They claim to direct customers into what training software package to buy. And the company's salespeople spent about half the time with these consultants and the other half selling direct to customers. What the study showed, though, was that the functional manager is the actual decision maker in about 64% of the cases, either by instructing the consultant or actually just making the purchase decision. Further, the functional manager is an influencer to the corporate committee in about a third of all cases. And consultants really only make the decision 4% of the time. This means that half the company's sales effort was just about wasted. And the company redirected Salesforce completely away from consultants and to focus only on functional manager. In particularly, whenever possible, they teamed up with functional managers to do joint presentation to that corporate committee. Another interesting discovery in this project was how different marketing messages resonated with different people within the customer organization. Training managers have limited budgets, if any budget at all, and the company wanted to find ways to sell high. They had tried, but had not been very successful, and this short tell you why. What you can see is how training managers look at different value messages. They care a lot about improving employee decision making. Okay? Executives take another stand at this, and they really like employee development or employee care. So, by simply changing messages for the same product, the company got more access to executives where budgets were less constrained. So the result of this segmentation, the new messages, the new price list, was spectacular. 9 months after the project was completed, sales of software were at 150% of plan. So, let me summarize what we talked about today. Price-specific research is what's necessary to discover from the marketplace true willingness to pay, true drivers, and true perceptions. And it needs to be conducted anonymously and to the entire marketplace. So, thanks for your time today. In the next and final episode, we'll discuss the role of data mining in the optimized pricing process.